All right, get ready for this deep dive. We're going into The Truth Is by Sri H.W.L. Poonja.
Oh, yeah, this one. It's a collection of his talks from India.
Not really a typical book, right?
No, it's like raw, straight from the source wisdom.
Just imagine being right there listening to him.
Yeah,
With
exactly.
the title like The Truth Is and that Om symbol.
Yeah, it's going deep.
It feels like ancient, timeless, but still relevant today.
And what's cool, Poonja talks right to you in the book.
Oh, wow. So it's personal.
Yeah, like he's right there having a conversation with you, pushing you to look inside and find the truth.
Okay, let's break this down.
Ah.
What's the main thing Poonja wants us to understand?
Well, he throws out this big idea right away. You are love dancing as emptiness.
Wow.
He's saying we're not just peaceful, we are peace.
Okay.
And it's not just sitting there being still. It's like this vibrant dance of pure being.
That's a big concept.
Yeah.
So is he saying it's not like the happiness you get from a new car or something?
Exactly. It's a different kind of happiness. You know, those moments of pure joy that just come out of nowhere. It's independent of anything external.
Yes. I love those moments.
He's saying that's a glimpse of your true nature, that ocean of joy beneath the surface.
Oh, I like that. So how do we find that ocean? Does he give us a set of rules or practices?
He actually goes the opposite way, rejects all that seeking and rituals.
Right.
Says something like, you're already this moment of happiness. Stop dwelling on the past. Just be present.
Be not do. Got it. But if we're this limitless joy and emptiness, all the suffering.
That's where his next big idea comes in, the illusion of self in world.
Okay, now I'm really curious.
He says our perception of a separate self, a solid world, all of that, it's an illusion.
So he's saying the world's not real.
Not exactly. He uses this analogy, a wave in the ocean.
I love a good analogy.
The wave thinks it's separate, but it's really part of the whole ocean.
Oh, I see.
We're like that wave, forgetting we're part of this vast consciousness.
We're all connected.
Yeah, I did.
Got it. But how does thinking we're separate lead to suffering?
When you believe you're separate, you cling to things. Thoughts, feelings, possessions. Always afraid of losing them. Striving for more.
It's exhausting.
It's a cycle of craving and aversion.
Always wanting something. Never satisfied.
Exactly.
So many people struggle with that.
Hmm.
So how do we break free? What's the solution?
He introduces this concept of the Satguru,
Satguru.
the true teacher.
Okay.
He says it's not just any guru. It's someone who doesn't give you dogmas or rituals.
So not about following a bunch of rules?
No, they point directly to the self, the truth inside you.
So more like a guide, helping us see what's already there.
Exactly. He says the real guru is within.
It's interesting.
External teachers can just help us connect with it. He tells this story about a king and a hairdresser to illustrate it.
Oh, a story. Tell me more.
This king is desperate for enlightenment, trying every ritual under the sun.
Been there. Searching, but never finding.
Right. Then one day he goes for a haircut,
Okay.
tells the hairdresser about his struggles. The hairdresser doesn't give him more rituals. He just says, surrender to the guru within.
Wow. Simple but powerful.
Reminds us the answers are often inside us.
But how do we connect with that inner guru? How do we actually surrender to this truth?
That's where satsang comes in.
Satsang?
It means association with the truth.
Oh, okay.
Poonja believes it's a catalyst for awakening.
So like going to a specific place.
Traditionally, yes, but he expands on the idea it can be anything that exposes you to a higher perspective.
So a talk by a teacher, a book, nature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with what helps you dismantle that illusion of separation.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces connect. We let go of the illusion, connect with our true nature.
Yes.
And we can do that through a Satguru and satsang.
You got it. He uses this analogy of a fruit falling from a tree.
Ooh, I like analogies.
When it's ripe, it falls effortlessly.
Makes sense.
Same with the mind. When it's ripe, realization happens naturally.
Beautiful. But he also warns against complacency.
Or he does. He tells a story about this man who spent 80 years in satsangs.
80 years.
Wow.
Then suddenly decides to leave. Wants to experience the world.
After all that time,
He got distracted by the mind's desires. Forgot the peace he found in truth.
it's easy to get sidetracked.
Oh.
So how do we stay on track? How do we know if we're making progress?
He outlines signs of awakening that people might experience.
Milestones on the path.
Exactly.
Okay, spill the beans. What are some of those?
First one he mentions is this thing called Brahmajinyasa.
Ramajinyasa. Try saying that 3 times fast.
It basically means the desire for freedom.
The desire for freedom.
Okay.
That makes sense.
That deep yearning for liberation from suffering.
Yeah. When you start to see your true potential, You want to break free from what's holding you back.
Exactly. He describes it as a gift from the self, a spark of grace that ignites the journey.
It's like that saying, you can't get what you don't want.
Right.
If you don't really desire freedom, you won't put in the effort.
Exactly. So that desire is the initial spark. As you go further, Poonja says you develop vivek.
Vivek, what's that? The ability to discriminate between the real and the unreal.
Okay.
What lasts and what fades. What's true and what's false.
Like a BS detector for the mind.
Yes. You learn to question everything. Not take things at face value.
Love it.
See things from a higher perspective.
Okay, so we have the desire for freedom and the ability to discriminate. What else?
He talks about vairagya.
Vairagya, another tricky word.
Often translated as renunciation, but not the typical kind.
So not giving away all your stuff and living in a cave?
No. It's an inner renunciation, letting go of attachment to things that don't matter.
So it's an internal shift, a change in perspective.
Exactly. You realize true happiness isn't found in objects or experiences.
But in realizing our true nature,
Right.
finding contentment in the present moment, no matter
Accurate.
what's happening around you.
Exactly.
That's what so many people are searching for.
Yeah, it is. It helps us reevaluate our priorities.
Shift our focus from chasing fleeting happiness to cultivating lasting peace.
Oh.
Okay, so we have the desire for freedom, the ability to discriminate, and this inner renunciation. Any other signs?
He mentions others: holiness, faith, trust, good karma, nonviolence.
Quite a list.
But he's clear. These aren't goals to achieve.
So not about being a perfect spiritual person.
No, they arise naturally as you align with the truth.
It's the inner transformation that leads to the outer expressions.
You got it. He's like, don't worry about the signs. Focus on the journey. They'll come naturally.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
But let's get practical. How do we actually dismantle this illusion of the separate self? Experience this freedom?
That's where Vichar comes in.
Vichar.
Self-inquiry. Poonja loved this practice. Powerful tool for cutting through the illusion.
This sounds important. Tell me more.
Vichar is all about turning inward, examining the foundation of your experience,
Looking within.
asking, who am I? Where do my thoughts come from?
He's not looking for intellectual answers, right?
No, it's about direct experience, going beyond your conditioning and beliefs.
To see what's really there.
Yes.
So how do we practice vichar? Any specific techniques?
One he emphasizes is questioning the source of the I thought.
The I thought.
Just sit quietly. Observe that thought. I arise. Don't get caught up in it.
Be aware of the thinker, not just the thoughts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You weaken your identification with that I thought. The sense of a separate self.
He also talks about the space between thoughts, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's recognizing that thoughts aren't you. They're just passing things in your awareness.
Ah.
Disengage from that mental chatter. Become the silent observer.
Just observing can help loosen their grip on us.
Exactly. He uses the analogy of a train halting at a station.
Another analogy. I'm loving this.
Eventually, the train stops.
Okay.
Same with the mind. Disengaged from thoughts, it becomes still and clear.
Hitting the pause button on all that mental chatter. I like it.
And that's just the beginning. There's so much more to Vichar.
My mind is already full. We've covered so much.
It is a lot.
From the self to the world. The Satguru satsang. And now vichar.
It's a lot to take in.
I need a break to process this all.
Yeah, we'll continue this deep dive in part 2. Explore even more Poonja's mind-blowing teachings.
Just can't wait.
Welcome back to our deep dive into The Truth Is.
Poonja's insights are really making me rethink things.
Me too. He really pushes you to wake up, doesn't he?
He's like, stop sleepwalking through life. Discover who you are. And he gives us the tools to do it. What really stood out to you from last time?
Honestly, how he flips the script on happiness.
Yeah.
It's not something you chase out in the world.
Right.
It's already inside you, like a hidden treasure.
Makes you wonder why we spend so much time looking for it in all the wrong places.
I know, right? And his emphasis on satsang, surround yourself with truth.
Yes. Like a support system for your spiritual growth.
Exactly.
And I love that analogy he uses about letting go of the ego. Like the fear of diving into deep water.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
You hesitate at the edge, scared of what's below the surface.
But once you jump in,
You realize it's not so bad.
you're held and supported by the water.
Exactly. Like jumping into a cold lake.
The anticipation is worse than the actual experience.
Totally. And it speaks to the power of vichar, right?
Yes.
Questioning everything until that illusion of a separate self dissolves.
Poonja doesn't mess around, does he?
He's definitely a no-nonsense teacher. Challenges us to look in the mirror and face what we see.
And in that facing, And that willingness to confront our fears.
That's where we find true freedom.
You got it.
Speaking of truth, what does Poonja even mean by the truth? It's a word we hear a lot.
Right. It's not some abstract idea for him.
Okay.
Or a belief system. Not
Right.
something you read about.
So what is it then?
It's the direct experience of your true nature.
Experience, not just an idea.
Exactly. He says it's unborn and eternal.
Unborn and eternal.
Exists beyond time and space.
Hmm.
It's always present,
Yeah.
no matter what your mind is saying.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. Like a background hum of existence.
Yeah.
That awareness that's always there, even when we're lost in thoughts.
That's it. He says things like, you are the fathomlessness,
The fathomless.
in which experience and concepts appear.
Okay.
You are the moment which has no coming or going.
Why?
He's pointing us beyond the mind to the core of our being.
It's beautiful, but also mind-boggling.
Mm.
So if this truth is already here, why is it so hard to experience?
He says it's our attachment to the illusion.
That separate self.
Believing we're separate from the source, from
Right.
each other, from everything.
So we create our own suffering by believing in this separation.
Exactly. It's like building walls around ourselves and then wondering why we feel trapped.
And he says the mind keeps this belief going.
Yes.
Our identification with thoughts and feelings.
We get lost in the drama of our minds. Forget who we really are.
I know that feeling.
He even compares the senses to a donkey.
A donkey.
Says only stupid, foolish, wicked society turns you into a donkey. Senses are the donkey, but you really are a lion.
So we're letting our senses, our desires, our fears lead us away from our true potential.
Yes, he's calling us to become the lion, reclaim our power.
Roar with our full being.
Exactly. But here's the good news. We are not our minds. Oh.
Not our thoughts or feelings.
Okay.
We are the awareness that's witnessing it all.
Mm.
That consciousness that's always present and free.
So we have a choice.
Yes.
Stay trapped in the donkey's limited view, or step into the lion's vast awareness.
It's up to us.
But how do we make that choice?
Victor Satsang, help us weaken the mind's grip.
Right.
But ultimately, it's about recognizing we're already free.
We just have to remember.
Exactly. Like waking up from a dream.
You realize those monsters weren't real.
Just illusion.
Projections of your mind.
And you're not afraid anymore. You see things clearly.
Okay, so we've talked about truth and how the mind creates suffering.
Yes.
What other insights does he offer about the world we experience?
Well, he says it's a reflection of our own minds.
A reflection.
Activity is your reflection, your world.
So we create our own reality.
In a way, yes. He's saying the world isn't separate from us.
It's a projection of our thoughts and beliefs,
like the world is a mirror.
reflecting back our inner state.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He even says the world is an illusion. Wait, an illusion. But the world is real.
He's not saying it doesn't exist.
Okay.
It's just not what it appears to be. Not this solid, fixed thing. It's a
Okay.
magic trick.
Oh, yeah.
We know it's not real, but it still looks real. Exactly. And Poonja's saying we're all Mageddans, creating illusions with our minds.
That's interesting.
But here's the empowering part. If we realize it's not fixed,
Yeah.
that it's a reflection,
Then what?
then we can take responsibility for our experience.
We have the power to change our perception.
Yes. To shift from fear and lack to love and abundance.
Like taking control of the remote and
Yeah.
choosing what we want to watch.
Exactly. It's a message of empowerment, recognizing our creative power.
It's a good message. Especially with all the negativity in the world today.
It is. He reminds us we don't have to be victims. We can choose our thoughts.
Shift our perspective. Create a better experience.
Yes.
So we've explored truth and the illusion of the world. What about more personal things? Like desire, anger, fear, death?
He addresses those too.
Yeah.
And he's very direct.
Okay.
No sugarcoating. He challenges our usual understanding, for example, with desire.
Desire is a big one.
He says, before craving moves, it is emptiness. Before desire moves, it is bondage.
He sees desire as something that traps us, keeps us suffering.
He's not saying it's bad. It's about our identification with it.
Okay.
When we think our happiness depends on fulfilling desires, that's when we suffer.
Like craving junk food.
Oh, yeah.
You think you'll be happy if you eat it?
But then you feel terrible afterward.
Exactly. Temporary satisfaction.
Oh.
More suffering later.
Poonja's saying, cultivate detachment, observe desires without getting caught up.
Recognize that true happiness comes from within,
Yes.
not from getting what we want.
Exactly. What about anger?
Anger is a powerful emotion, can be so destructive.
He sees it as a delusion, a misperception.
Okay.
He says, why get into trouble? It's enough. Everything is here. Happiness, beauty, love.
He's saying anger comes from separation.
Yes, believing we're separate from others, from the world.
When we see ourselves as separate, we feel threatened, we get
Oh,
angry.
like when someone cuts you off in traffic.
Oh, yeah. You feel like they violated your space.
Exactly. But Poonja says if we recognize our oneness,
Our connection with everything.
then anger dissolves.
Like realizing that driver is just another person.
Struggling with our own stuff, just like you.
Cultivating compassion and understanding.
Yes, for ourselves and others.
And he reminds us we are not our anger.
We're not defined by it.
Right? We're the awareness witnessing the anger. The consciousness that's always free.
Exactly. So instead of getting lost in it,
You can step back, observe it.
and choose to respond calmly.
Powerful shift in perspective. What about fear? That can be so debilitating.
I know, it holds me back sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
Poonja says fear comes from the same misperception as desire and anger.
That belief in separation.
Yes.
Yes.
He says that is the previous fear that is leaving now. All the experiences get only because they were not perpetual, they were not permanent, they were just imaginations, only hallucinations. Therefore, they get lost.
Yeah.
This is beyond concept, perceptions, imaginations.
Fear is an illusion
Ah.
based on a belief in a separate self that can be harmed.
Yes. But if we are consciousness, what can really be harmed?
Right. Our true nature is beyond all that.
Exactly. He says, face your fears. Look deeply into them.
Don't ignore them.
No. Confront them head on, knowing your true nature can't be touched.
He says, so when something comes in front of you, just stay as the truth which does not move and react to the circumstances, whatever they may be, good or bad. Bring awareness to them. Shine the light of consciousness on them.
And realize they're just thoughts, illusions.
Like shining a flashlight into a dark room.
Yes. The scary shadows disappear.
Okay, so we've tackled desire, anger,
Yeah.
fear for the big one, death.
Everyone tries to avoid that way.
It's a tough topic.
Poonja approaches it the same way. Direct, clear. No sugarcoating.
Okay,
He points to the truth. Reminds us death is not the end
it's a transition.
to another state of existence.
So he's not denying death,
No?
but he's offering a different perspective.
Exactly. He says, death, you have only heard that it is not your experience.
What does he mean?
It's something we've heard about, conceptualized, but not experienced.
It's like hearing about a far-off country.
You've read about it, seen pictures, but never been there.
I see.
He says we only believe we'll die because we've accepted we were born.
Mm.
He challenges us to question that, to explore the possibility that we're beyond birth and death.
So what happens after death, then? What's this other state of existence?
He describes it as returning to the source, merging back into consciousness.
Like the wave dissolving back into the ocean.
Exactly. He says substance itself do no die. The body, this understanding is called self. The returning to the substratum is called Shiva, the ocean, which does not change, no longer separate, but still part of that vastness.
And death is only of the body, not of the consciousness.
Right. He says, I want to enter the cave of the heart and stay there. This here and now is the cave of the heart.
Our true home is not the physical body, but the awareness that's always present.
You got it.
Yeah.
He's encouraging us to connect with that, realize what's beyond birth and death.
It's powerful, but also a bit overwhelming.
It is a lot, but also liberating.
Poonja offers a way out of suffering, a path to freedom and peace.
And there's still more to come.
Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive.
We'll explore even more of his teachings on happiness, love, and reality itself.
Back again for our final deep dive into the truth is, my mind is still reeling from our last conversation.
Poonja really shakes things up, doesn't he?
He's like, wake up, see the world in a new way. But there's freedom in that shaking.
There
Right?
is. It's like clearing out the cobwebs, letting the light in.
And speaking of light, today we're exploring the luminous side of Poonja happiness, love, and reality itself.
The heart of the spiritual search, and Poonja's perspective is both deep and practical.
Let's start with happiness. We all want it, but it can feel so elusive. What does Poonja say about finding it?
He throws out the idea that it comes from external things, like achievements, possessions, relationships.
So it's not about getting more stuff.
No, he says happiness isn't something you acquire. It's something you discover. He says to be happy, you need nobody else. You are in the garden of joy. It's like, look around, you're already there, you just need to see it.
So change your perspective, not your circumstances.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He compares our true nature to an ocean of joy,
An ocean of joy. I like that.
our natural state,
Mhm.
just hidden by our thoughts and ego.
But if that's true, why do we suffer? Why aren't we all just blissed out all the time?
He says we've forgotten who we are. We identify with the ego, that limited self. It creates lack, separation from joy.
So our ego is like a filter, distorting our perception.
Exactly, blocking us from the happiness that's already there. He says this happiness is conditioned by the ego. No one is happy.
Like we're tricked into believing we're this small, limited self.
When really we're this vast awareness.
It's mind-blowing, but also empowering.
That's the point. And that's where love comes in.
Love. Okay, let's talk about that. What does Poonja say about love?
He says it's the essence of our being. You are the fullness of love in love and the emptiness of awareness.
So not about finding the right person.
No, it's already within you, the fabric of your being.
It's a nice thought. But our experience of love is often mixed with pain, attachment, fear of loss. How did he address that?
He challenges our usual ideas about love based on need and clinging. He says, this joy, this thinking is old, destroy mind and suffering. When we try to hold on to love, possess it, control it, we suffer.
Like trying to hold sand. The tighter you grip, the more it slips away.
Exactly. True love is letting go, allowing things to be, recognizing our interconnectedness.
So surrender to love. Don't try to grasp it.
He compares true love to the love of the sun.
The sun.
It shines on everything unconditionally. No discrimination, no expectation.
That's beautiful. Like saying love is our natural radiance. Let go of fear and insecurity, and it shines through.
I like that. That's it exactly.
We've talked about happiness and love. Now for the big one. Reality itself. I'm still struggling with this idea that the world is an illusion. What does Poonja say about the true nature of reality?
He describes it as consciousness, a boundless awareness, beyond all thoughts and perceptions. He says this is freedom, fundamental mind and concepts, and his moment is always this moment. It will not change. It is your free from birth, right?
So reality isn't out there, it's in here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not something you perceive with your senses, it's what you experience through awareness.
We are that consciousness, not separate from it.
Exactly. We are it, not just observing it.
That's a huge shift. But it also feels kind of familiar, like something I've always known.
That's the power of teachings, reminding us of what we've forgotten.
So if that's true, what about all the stuff we experience? The joys, sorrows, challenges, triumphs?
Poonja says it's all the play of consciousness, like a movie projected onto the screen of awareness. He says, you are the substratum on which everything moves. Let it move. Don't get caught up in the movie. Remember, you're the screen.
So we can experience it all without losing ourselves.
Yes. Ride the waves without forgetting you're the ocean.
But if this freedom is already within us, why is it so hard to access?
Poonja says it's our conditioning, our beliefs and habits. So when you are free of your concepts, your mind gets cleared and your vision gets cleared. When your vision gets cleared, your action becomes pure. When action becomes pure, the result will be pure.
Our thoughts create our reality.
And when we're stuck in limiting beliefs, we create a limited experience.
So clear out the mental clutter, the negative beliefs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then we can experience our true nature. But ultimately, he says it's about grace. The grace of self gives rise to the desire for freedom. The grace of God brings you to the Guru. The grace of the Guru removes all doubts and leaves only freedom.
So it's not about our effort alone.
There's a power greater than us, guiding us towards freedom.
It's comforting to think about. Even when we feel lost, there's something leading us home.
And this grace is available to everyone.
We've covered so much in this deep dive. Poonja's teachings on the self-satsang vichar, happiness, love, consciousness.
It's a roadmap to freedom, a way to live with joy, love, and peace.
And it's not something we need to search for or strive for.
No.
It's already within us,
Yeah.
our true nature.
And the path to realizing it is simple, but not always easy.
Requires courage and a willingness to question everything.
But the rewards are immeasurable.
The Truth is a powerful book. If you're ready to embark on this journey, I highly recommend it.
You might just find yourself, as Poonja would say, dancing as emptiness.
That's it for our deep dive into The Truth Is.
We hope you've enjoyed the journey.
Keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep diving deeper into the truth.